man, scraped a big chunk of lead off. This is fucking dangerous. Look at that. It's fucking squashed it. I don't know how many more of these I'm going to do, because this is pretty risky, man. These things just spiral right back at me off the wall. I totally understand now how bullets mushroom on impact. I should probably have body armour and a fucking visor and shit on right now. I'm trying to see if I can focus this. Come on. Can't even see this because it's so bright. Alright. Look at that. It's totally deformed it. Fuck no. I have goggles on at least, so I can't blind myself, but I can still hit myself in the head and fracture my skull, that kind of thing. This time it flattened an entire side of it. Entire side of the fucking thing just got squashed. I think it must have impacted it side on. Either that or there's lead missing from this. I should probably weigh it and see if any gets scraped off. I wonder how much gets scraped off of these. I'm going to weigh these when I get home. I wish I could put all my effort into these, but it's just too dangerous and unpredictable, I think. I'd be surprised if I'm getting much more than 50 meters a second on these, but it's still... it's fucking them up. Wow. Totally squashed it, man. It's fucked. I put a lot more force into that one. I'm kind of getting used to this shit now. I heard a ping there, so I think a piece of lead might have actually spalled off and hit my flask. I don't know what happened, I'm gonna check. But yeah, this is totally fucking squashed, holy shit. This is why they make bullets out of a lead alloy that has antimony. They alloy it for hardness. This is just totally soft. Look at that, the nose, the tip of the gland hit the wall straight on pretty much and just squashed. It's cool. These are really good, man. I crafted these pretty well. I put a lot more force into that one. and holy shit, it's just crushed it. It's fucking squashed. I think there's a lot of lead on that that concrete wall now. Wow. So there was a double impact here. It hit off the wall directly and it's scraped off an entire side of it. Like half of it's gone, I think. So this lead is so soft that it just leaves on the wall. It's definitely feeling a bit lighter. And then after that, the tip, it ricocheted and the tip hit off the top and it deformed it and scraped off some lead there too. Wow. This is cool shit. I think I'm done though. Like, that was probably the hardest one I've done and that was just about full power. And this is the effect of it, so demo concluded. Thank fuck I didn't need these. Alright, back in the city and we can finally weigh these things and do some analysis on them without the wind blasting in the microphone. So I recovered 8 out of 10 or 11 I think that I loosed, and if you look at these, the first thing you can immediately tell is that there's extreme deformation involved in this shit. Well, there's a lot of variety here in terms of how they turned out. For example, this one is totally disparate from this one. I mean, even just the length alone is pretty immense. Fucking hell. Entire sides apparently missing, or at least flattened. Some of them are totally twisted. The amount of mechanical energy required to cause this effect on these hunks of metal is pretty substantial. Like, if you were to get a vise and fix one of these in the vise and smash the tip with a hammer, it would take a hell of a swing to actually achieve this. I mean, even though lead is soft, it still takes energy to do it. Here's how they start out. This is how they're meant to look. Like, these are from my next batch. Pretty consistent shape, really clean. And then when you compare that to, for example, this, I mean, before and after. I mean, that's the right, let's think about this. So it would be, yeah, actually, they come out quite reliably the same direction, so, because I always do the exact same thing when I'm loading the pouch. So they come out with a pretty similar trajectory, direction, orientation, all that stuff. And it went from that on the right to this on the left. Yep. Alright, time to weigh them. It's been a while, but I did a cursory weigh-in when I got back and I was quite surprised by the results. So apparently there's no material lost when this happens. I mean, even though it kind of does seem to feel lighter in my hand, it's just like a placebo. It's not actually lighter, so just the shape changes. It doesn't actually lose or gain any mass or nothing, man. The manufacturing process for these is really consistent. They all come out pretty much morphologically identical, so it's within a gram, all of them I think, within a gram. So 55, 57, it's approximate, remember, but I think it actually is just about within a gram range. 56, so 55 to 57 grams, and it probably rounds up and down to get that kind of a spread. So call it 56 grams, that's what I was expecting. And then if we would compare it to these, the ones that I've recovered, so let's take a really drastic one. So this one, I think this was the last one, the one that had the most power. I can't really remember which is which. All I can remember is that this one that's totally fucked was not a full swing with everything I've got, so it's kind of surprising. This must have just been a direct head-on impact. So, alright, this one, the one that's got an entire side of it apparently missing, 56 grams. Hard to believe it, but yep, they are the same mass, so I was incorrect. None was left on the concrete when it impacted. It just changed its shape, it just squashed it flat. So weird. I'm gonna focus it. Yeah, it's oxidized, that's why it's lost its luster, and it all looks kind of similar. But yeah, that's a really flat surface. It just smashed right into the concrete and totally flattened. I mean, it all just gave way on that entire side. And then when it ricocheted after that initial impact, it must have came off because the surface of the concrete is kind of that shape. It's a concave, so it must have hit near the bottom of the concave and then ricocheted up and hit off the overhang at the top, and that's what must have gave it that twist at the top right there. Because that's a secondary impact, you can tell by how it's not as flat as the rest. Pretty obvious what happened there. And there's a scrape here too, so 56 grams, just like the brand new one. Interesting. Wouldn't have expected that. I actually thought that I could see lead on the concrete when I went up close afterwards with the camera. I thought I could see it glittering, but apparently not. Minuscule amount at most. And then this one that just got totally fucking crushed, like the nose just gone. 54 grams, what the fuck? Like, that's kind of surprising. I mean, I don't think much mass would have been lost in the impact, but maybe that kind of a head-on impact caused some of it to ablate off. I don't know. Probably not. So, yeah, 54 grams, it doesn't feel lighter, but I don't know if I'd be able to tell. Right. And then this one, which is like just opened up that entire surface of it, just really flat. So basically the top and some of basically the front end of this got pushed into the rest of it. I expect this would weigh 56 as well, like the other one. Yeah. And I mean, look at just the shape, it's just drastic. Imagine if I was to sling this again, the kind of trajectory it would have. I've got two options here. I can melt these down and recast them, or I can sling them again and see what the fuck happens when they're slung for a second time. I don't think much lead has been recovered and refired ever in this of slinging, but it would probably still have pretty good flight properties, characteristics for something that has such a bad shape because of just the material, the lead. It would be interesting. Well, I imagine it would whistle and hum a lot. I'm going to probably just save them up and resling them. I might keep these and save them up and then use them as an experiment for a second video where I'm refiring already slung Glandes. Alright, this is all I see here is just the primary impact. I don't see any second ricochet. Maybe this bit here, like see the very end there, it looks a little bit bashed, so yeah, that must be what happened. Most of the energy was dissipated or absorbed to mechanically deform that entire side of it, and then it must have hit the top without much velocity and just had a little bit of a bash. Yep. Wait a minute, which one was that? 56 grams. Yep. Alright, so this one, which is kind of twisted, I see two impacts here again. That seems to be what happened. So there was the initial impact with most of them, where there's most of the visible damage, most of the deformation, and then there's a secondary impact where it kind of just reorients itself and then gets scraped a bit. There's a bit of concrete or dirt stuck to that one. Yeah. Alright, 56. Yeah, 56. So, yeah, no mass loss really. And then this one, which is just like a minor impact and squashed a bit. So, primary impact here, and then secondary impact there. It's interesting to see what happens when it hits again, that lower speed. And then this one, like this was just a pretty... Look at that, it's like a weird shape now. It's totally lost all resemblance of an airfoil. Like, it's just a weird chunky mass. I mean, there's still the tail. It still somewhat resembles a tail, but it's totally twisted, so... Wait a minute. 56 grams as well. And then the last one, I can't remember what this one is, but it's retained a lot of the concrete, so... Similar to the last one, yeah. 56 grams as well. Alright, so to sum up, there's a hell of a lot of energy involved here. I was putting these out at probably like 50 or 60 meters a second, maybe some of them a bit more. That last one maybe was coming close to 100 meters a second, which would have been on the upper end of what professional military slingers would have been like in antiquity and beyond. And yeah, look at that, it's pretty devastating. These were given way to the concrete, which was harder than themselves. You can imagine if it was a femur or a rib cage that had to take this kind of damage. Yeah, it would be pretty devastating. A lot of bones would have definitely been shattered by things like these being loosed at these kinds of velocities. On a battlefield, if these were going through the air at high velocity, impacting with these kinds of energies, I can imagine it would have been pretty horrific. Yeah. Sweet.